Overnight, China firing back. After President Trump's 10% tariff went into effect at midnight, Beijing swiftly retaliating with tariffs on American goods, including coal, liquefied natural gas, crude oil, agricultural machinery, and pickup trucks. China also restricting the export of critical minerals used to produce high-tech products. It comes as the hefty 25% tariffs Trump threatened against Mexico and Canada are now on hold for 30 days.
China's message for Trump: a lesson in resilience. China's leadership, particularly President Xi Jinping, has crafted a response that is as measured as it is resolute. In a climate where Trump's aggressive trade tactics have repeatedly rattled global markets, Xi and his lieutenants have recalibrated their strategy, choosing not to be baited into a tit-for-tat escalation, but instead to stand firm. China has learned from the turbulent experiences of past trade wars. Instead of capitulating or matching every tariff with a simple one-for-one response, China's approach now hinges on a mix of targeted countermeasures and strategic diplomacy. This isn't just about economics. It's a demonstration of China's growing confidence on the world stage. With a mix of calculated tariffs and nuanced messaging, Beijing seeks to remind Trump and his administration that pressure tactics will not derail its rise. The rhetoric from China is pointed yet restrained. Xi Jinping's statements, delivered during the two-sessions political meeting, carry an undercurrent of warning. The U.S. might continue to press its advantage, but Beijing will not back down. Instead, China is prepared to use every tool at its disposal, from economic countermeasures to soft power initiatives, to ensure that its long-term interests are not compromised. This is a shift from earlier years when Beijing was more reactive. Now it is proactive and forward-thinking. China's interference in the European conflict, a strategic chess move. While the US-China trade war grabs headlines, another critical piece of the geopolitical puzzle is unfolding in Europe. China is not merely sitting back while Trump's policies shape global markets. It is also maneuvering in European affairs to tilt the balance of power in its favor. Recent events in Europe have provided Beijing with an opportunity to play a dual game. On one hand, China is capitalizing on divisions within European politics, particularly around the issues of economic stability and security. By subtly influencing European debates and offering alternatives to what many see as an increasingly unilateral American approach, China positions itself as a champion of a multipolar world order. In this light, interference is less about overt meddling and more about strategic engagement. China's actions in Europe are part of a broader strategy to undermine what it perceives as an overbearing U.S. influence. With Europe often caught in the crossfire of transatlantic disputes, Beijing's initiatives, ranging from economic investments to diplomatic overtures, offer European leaders a credible alternative. An invitation for Europe to recalibrate its alliances. The message is clear. If the U.S. continues to push its America First narrative, China is ready to step in and offer a more balanced, cooperative framework. This move not only secures Beijing's interests, but also further isolates Trump's administration on the international stage. The Trump threat to China: tariffs, tensions, and turbulence. No discussion of the current high-stakes rivalry would be complete without addressing the elephant in the room. President Trump's persistent threat to impose even harsher tariffs and sanctions on China. Trump's tariff policies are designed to pressure Beijing into conceding to U.S. demands, whether on issues of technology, intellectual property, or trade imbalances. Trump's aggressive stance is rooted in a long-held belief that economic coercion can force China to play by Washington's rules. However, Beijing's response has been one of defiant resilience. Instead of buckling under the pressure, China is leveraging its economic clout and diplomatic networks to offset the impact of U.S. tariffs. By diversifying its trade partners and strengthening domestic industries, China is insulating itself from the shockwaves of a renewed tariff war. The rhetoric on both sides has grown increasingly sharp. Trump's administration continues to tout its readiness to escalate the economic conflict, warning that continued pressure could lead to broader repercussions, not just for China, but for the global economy as a whole. In contrast, Chinese officials have fired back with statements that underscore Beijing's willingness to retaliate vigorously. These tit-for-tat exchanges are not mere posturing, but signal real policy shifts. For instance, China has ramped up its own tariffs on U.S. agricultural products, a move that reverberates through global supply chains and adds fuel to the already burning fire of international trade tensions. Europe looks eastward, China as the reliable partner. Amid these tumultuous dynamics, many European leaders are beginning to question whether their long-standing alignment with the U.S. remains in their best interest. The Trump era, with its sporadic policy reversals and overt unilateralism, has left Europe grappling with uncertainty. In contrast, China's steady approach, as depicted in, offers an attractive alternative. European nations are increasingly looking eastward, not necessarily out of ideological affinity, but out of pragmatic necessity. They see in China a partner who can offer infrastructural investments, consistent economic policies, and a willingness to engage in multilateral cooperation. As Europe faces its own set of challenges, ranging from energy security to geopolitical fragmentation, the promise of a reliable partner is hard to ignore. The U.S. has long been seen as the bedrock of the transatlantic alliance, but Trump's unpredictable leadership style has led many in Europe to reconsider their options. Beijing's methodical, less erratic approach, coupled with its growing influence in global institutions, positions it as a more dependable ally in uncertain times. While critics caution against Beijing's ambitions, for many European policymakers, the choice seems clear. A partnership with China, despite its complexities, may offer more stability than the current U.S. trajectory. High-stakes rivalry, the global implications. The interplay between China and Trump's America is more than a bilateral dispute. It's a reflection of a broader systemic shift in global power dynamics. This rivalry within the context of an emerging multipolar world, where the old rules no longer apply, and every action has far-reaching consequences. In this high-stakes arena, the rivalry is multifaceted. It encompasses trade, technology, and military posturing, but also includes the battle for narrative control. Both sides are engaged in a contest of ideologies. On one hand, Trump's America champions protectionism and unilateral decision-making, claiming that these measures are necessary to protect American jobs and industries. On the other hand, China promotes a vision of global governance based on mutual respect, balanced trade, and shared growth. This contest extends into the digital realm, where information and influence are as crucial as dollars and cents. The high-stakes nature of this rivalry means that any miscalculation could have dramatic consequences. A full-blown trade war would not only disrupt global supply chains, but also potentially trigger political realignments and economic instability worldwide. Both Trump's administration and China are acutely aware of these risks. Yet each side seems committed to pursuing its agenda, regardless of the fallout. Conclusion: as we navigate these tumultuous times, the world is witnessing the emergence of a new geopolitical order where old paradigms are being rewritten. China's message to Trump is clear. Washington's aggressive tactics will not deter Beijing's march towards global prominence. Instead, Beijing is setting the stage for a future where trade wars and political brinkmanship are met with a robust, measured, and strategic response. In Europe, China is not just a distant economic power, but an active player influencing regional dynamics. By engaging with European nations, Beijing is sending a message that the era of American dominance is waning, and a multipolar world is on the horizon. This is not an invitation for conflict, but a call for balance. A plea for nations to come together on the basis of mutual respect and shared interests. For Trump and his administration, the threat remains tangible. The persistent imposition of tariffs and the ever-present risk of escalating economic warfare pose significant challenges to U.S. policymakers. Yet, the response from China suggests that this is a contest with no easy winners. Both sides are locked in a high-stakes rivalry that could reshape not only their bilateral relations, but also the fabric of international politics. Ultimately, the unfolding drama serves as a stark reminder that global power is not static. As China rises and the U.S. recalibrates its strategy, the world must prepare for a period of uncertainty and opportunity. The era of unilateral action is giving way to a more interconnected and complex international landscape, where every move is calculated and every decision reverberates on a global scale. In this evolving narrative, the message is unmistakable. The US may threaten, but China is determined to rise, on its own terms and with an eye towards shaping a future that is not dictated by the old guard,